Hello and welcome to Conspiracy Theories Football. We're your host. I'm Paul Bunyan McDaniel, and over here I got Antonio. We call him Mater. And we're coming with you today on a really sad week in NFL football. So we're going to talk about and we're going to give our thoughts and prayers first to DAMAR HAMLIN's family. We're really sad about the thing that happened. It was a shocking, terrible thing for all of us to witness and to see. Something we haven't seen in NFL football. It's a really sad thing to have watched, and no doubt, imagine being the family and how they must have felt during that moment. Now, what we're going to talk about to start off the show, me being the big conspiracy theorist, I have some things I wanted to get off my chest as we're talking about basically what happened and what our show really has to do with and what a conspiracy theory is. A conspiracy theory is something that someone picks out and basically says that something's going on that's corrupt, something going on that is shady, and you have a theory as to what it is, what's happening, but at the time, it's not really factual. You're just trying to put your finger on something that you see is wrong. And basically, there have been many things nowadays that are called conspiracy theories that are no longer conspiracy theories, but are facts. For instance, Darlene Coker. In the 90s, Darlene Coker sued Johnson & Johnson for having cancer. She was dying. But she knew it was because of talcum powder that she was dying. This was a conspiracy theory. In fact, she lost her court case. She died and never saw anything from that court case. But now, as you know, we look around, many people are getting money because of what happened to their family, because they found out that this wasn't a conspiracy. This was a fact. People died because of this. Millions of dollars went to the families of these people after the fact. But Darlene Coker, first person to come out against Johnson & Johnson in a court case, lost, died, and never saw the end of it. Now that, back then, could be said to be a conspiracy theory. Because there was no facts at that point that could be proven. But now, the facts are there, they're proven, and it's no longer a conspiracy, it's a fact. And there are many other stories just like this of conspiracy theories that turn out to be fact. And today I'm going to present a conspiracy theory that is obviously a theory. I'm not a doctor, I'm not anybody in the know. I just look at things and try to use common sense to figure things out. And I want you to hear this theory, and I want you to pay attention. And you can call me crazy, you can think I'm crazy, but in the end, if you see this stuff happening, I think action needs to be taken. I think something needs to be happened before other people are hurt. And this theory, you're going to hear, and you're probably going to think it's crazy, and at this point, I have no proofs to back it up. I have nothing to say that this is a fact. I'm just telling you this is my personal opinion, my personal theory. But there is something going on that many people have been talking about, and the fact of the matter is, it's so deep that you can't even say it. You can't say it, or you get shut down. You can't even point out that these things are going on, or you'll be shut down. Shut up.
Or counsel.
Exactly. And so, we're going to have to say it, and I'm going to have to do it in code, but you're going to understand what I'm talking about. You're going to get it. But, me, myself, there was a man-made sickness that has went around, and I myself was a victim of it. I went to the hospital, and I thought I was going to die. I went to 5 different hospitals with the same thing, and nearly, I was on oxygen and everything. I was so scared I was going to die. But there was a thing that I worried that I didn't do that I should have done, and there was a preventative measure that could have been taken supposedly to keep me from getting it. I talked to every medical doctor in all 5 of the hospitals that talked to me, and I asked them, should I have taken the preventative measure? And do you know what every one of those doctors told me? That if I took the preventative measures, I would have ended up in the same place with the same condition. Every medical doctor I talked to, and I can back that up. But they told me not to worry about that because I would have been in the same position, because all of them had to take the preventative measures themselves to keep themselves from getting this man-made illness. And so each one of them took it themselves, but said that even after they took it, they still got it. So the very thing that was supposed to prevent it didn't prevent it. And as people are looking now, they're seeing the same thing, that people that take it, it doesn't prevent it. But one thing that's very interesting about this preventative measure is that if it ever happens that you take the preventative measure, I take the preventative measure, I die, and I can even prove the fact that it's from the preventative measure, or I have a terrible allergic reaction from the preventative measure, I cannot sue the people that were responsible for doing it. Nothing can be done to those people. If it comes out later on that this preventative measure is terrible and it's just like talcum powder and can kill thousands, millions of people, nothing can be done to the people that did it. For this reason,
how are they excluded from the punishment of doing this to millions of people?
Yeah, it's basically
it's in the contract.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's in the contract. It was made that way. I won't go into the entities behind as to why they're able to do that, because I may not only be canceled, I may end up disappeared. And let me tell you all, before I even start this, I'm a super happy person. You know, if they come out and they're like, this man's sad, suffering from depression,
you're not suicidal.
that ain't true. That's right. And I don't even have a gun, okay? So, just to let you know, that, you know, if something happens, that's where I'm at. But I'm telling you right now, this is just common sense, Paul, talking. There's one thing that every football player had to do when this big...
I don't even have a gun.
When this big man-made illness came out, almost many jobs, many places had to take the preventative measure. You absolutely had to. There was no way around it.
Our football teams, our sports teams,
basketball,
our medical
doctors and nurses, they had to take it. And even with the thing where you have a contract that says after I take this I can't sue these people for doing it, but yet you're forced to do it.
Wow.
How is that a contract?
Right.
Yeah.
How is that a fair contract?
Yeah, with who?
Yeah.
I didn't sign up for that.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's the thing that sucks. You're kind of forced into it. Now, right now, this kind of thing is actually happening in soccer, the other football. You know, this has been happening quite a bit the last year. And there are different places. I encourage you to look up sites that explain it to you, because I'm not going into the explanations, the numbers, or anything like this. This is conspiracy theory Paul making up a conspiracy or my own opinion, and just things that I see that I think you might see later on. And I think that football players, if this stuff starts becoming common, need to look at what's happened and understand why this may be happening. Because if this continues to happen, then this conspiracy theory that I'm telling you is no longer a conspiracy.
Facts.
You know, and even though those people have fixed it to where they can't be sued and nothing can be done to them, people need to know the facts and need to know what got them to that point, and at least have the closure of knowing who it was that did what they did that caused the problems that are happening right now. Because up until this point, we've never seen this kind of crap happen in the NFL. We haven't seen this, but yet we all know that there's something that every NFL player had to do. You know, that every NFL player would have had to have taken preventative measures to play the game.
So what about the fact that more players have gone through this that we don't know about?
Yeah. Well, in soccer, that stuff is going on. They actually have numbers of people, and they talk about how so many people now are experiencing this very same phenomenon that happened on the field.
Since soccer?
Yeah, since this last year. So, you know, just use the dates, use your own common sense. Use the dates, use the things that might have happened to these people, use the things that they might have had to do to figure out for yourself why this stuff is happening, why it's going on. And if this stuff continues to happen, just remember, you didn't necessarily hear it here first, but you might have heard it here first, you know. And just remember that the crazy persons that have this theory later on might be the smartest people you've ever met. And just understand this, and this is something we've all come to realize, that when you find out and when common sense tells you that that's a fact, the media and the doctors in your medias are going to tell you that's absolutely not true, that it didn't happen that way, and they're going to make up some stupid reason why it happened. The same as, like I told you, the doctors that I dealt with in the hospital told me that the preventative measure wouldn't have helped me. But on TV, the doctors were saying something totally different. And just remember now, when you watch the media today of the people that are raping your ears, like the Stephen Colberts and the Jimmy Kimmels that fill your ears with bull crap and propaganda that you know is false, you know, and you know isn't true, just understand that because of, you know, things that were done, you know, nowadays, fake news is so real. And it's legal. That's where the problem comes in. It's legal for them to lie to you. And that was something that was passed, that the Obama administration put through and changed, because before he signed a thing that made it illegitimate, there were laws in place that kept media from doing that kind of thing.
They changed the name of the shows to opinion shows, and people don't know it. They think it's news, but it's basically that person or either that station's opinion. If you look at it, they're supposed to be opinion shows now, but we look at it at those people like it's actually news. I mean, like it's factual. Yeah, like it's factual, but really they just giving you their spin on what the news is now. Yeah, what they're reporting on may be true. I mean, but the way they spin it is their opinion.
Today you notice you don't see trophies, you don't see a scoreboard, and we didn't even finish out our scores last week. We didn't even put them in because this actually meant something to us. It actually bothered us what we saw on the field, and for that reason we're not coming with those things from last week. We're not coming with those. This was something important to us, and we wanted you to hear our thoughts and what we thought on it, and absolutely certainly to talk and say to the Hamlin family, we're sorry this happened to you, and our thoughts and prayers are with you, and we hope for the recovery of Hamlin, and we hope that his family and everything gets, you know, to enjoy the company of their child, their brother, their uncle, whatever it is now, you know, because it's a terrible thing, you know, and that's definitely not something that any of us want to remember. You know, even the guy on the opposing side, it'll be something that'll ruin him, you know, having to think about what happened, you know, so.
And then going forward, like, with that happening, like, as a player, wouldn't you be like, am I next? Or could this happen to me? So now you know, it's in the back of your head, especially the one that was there.
Yeah.
And they saw this firsthand, this man laying there, you know, out of it. You know what I mean? So, yeah, this may change some stuff again in football.
This is a huge thing for the NFL too. I mean, it's not the NFL's fault if what I think is right, and obviously, like I say, it's my opinion, not a doctor, not anything, but I think that there's something going on here. It's not the NFL's fault what's going on, but it definitely will affect them, because no doubt if you were a parent watching that game last night and your kid played sports, did that not scare you? You know, the thought of your child playing sports and this might happen to him, you know, even though it's something that only happened once out of, you know, years and years, it's another thing to think about before you let your kids put shoulder pads on and walk out onto a football field, you know.
Grandkids and all that.
Yeah. So it's definitely going to affect the game for sure.
Yo. This is Mr. Everything's in Motion LLC. When I say everything in motion, it means everything's coming to fruition, man. Everything is starting to pan out. We got this going on. I got my music going on with my young cat I work with, Little Sauce. You know, you might see him on a commercial. When you do, check him out. You know, the little cat's buzzing. We're gonna be rapping cars here in a minute. We got a lot of things going on, man. I can't say it all because it all ain't in motion yet. But once it gets into motion, I'll be back with you guys, and I hope I get some support from you, man. Love.
So we're glad, I'm glad we got to talk about it, and I'm glad, we all discussed it and decided that is something we should talk about today. But, given our show and all the stuff that we've done and all the things that we've set up for you, this week is a big week in football. You got all kinds of teams vying for playoff spots. You got all kinds of teams. Everything that we've done to this point culminates right now.
Yeah, and I'm trying to figure out how this game is going to factor into all that, because that game had meaning, and it still does have meaning. So, like, what do we do? I mean, once the kid is well, because I believe he's getting better and he will be well. So once he's well and they decide to continue to play the game, what do? Start the game over, or do they pick up where they left off? What do you think? What's your thoughts on that part?
My guess is they probably pick up where they left off, because I mean, if I'm the Bengals, I don't want to start back at 0-0.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, how could you do that?
But I actually wondered if they would just end the game at 7-3, but then it wouldn't be fair to the Bills either.
Right.
So it's like
now it's the asterisk beside that victory for the Bengals. Then so no, I don't think you can do that either. But they got these little, when they make these schedules, they got these things in case something happened today. They got makeup dates and makeup, but I'm sure they got a makeup date in store. Normally it would have been probably the next day or two or something like that, because it probably most likely would have been weather.
Yeah.
You've never seen nothing like this, like you said before on TV. Anyway, but I'm just interested to see. Like, I thought that they would pick up from where they left off, but I guess we'll see.
Well, and it'll be difficult to know how they're going to do it. It'll be interesting to see the end result of this, because they have to play the game, but you got the playoffs coming up next, and this game is likely going to have something to do with the playoffs as well as to where people are playing, and so they've got to squeeze it in there somewhere.
Exactly.
And so it will be interesting to see. My prediction is that, sometime in the middle of next week, I think maybe they'll have a Thursday night football again.
Oh, okay. So Thursday night next week.
Yeah.
Maybe they slapped that on.
Yeah, they just slip it in there that's my guess, and that they started at 7-3. And just start playing from that second quarter on, or I think it was in the second quarter when it happened. So that's my guess.
Either way, that game still, whoever wins that game still probably have an asterisk beside it.
Yeah, and it is an important game, because it likely, it actually could come down to who gets home field advantage throughout the playoffs. You have Kansas City, Buffalo, and Cincinnati all kind of vying for that spot. This week, you got some games that might have something to do with that too, because Cincinnati's playing Baltimore, so that might do. Exactly.
I did like how the NFL, stopped the game and took this young man's health into consideration, because most of the time the show just goes on, and I like how it didn't just go on with this. Obviously, it was more serious than everybody thought, but once they figured out how serious it was, I like how they kind of played it.
Unfortunately, I've heard, and I hope it's not true, that the NFL wanted to go ahead with the game and tried to go ahead with the game, but the players themselves basically said no. I've heard that, and once again, that's just something that I've heard. I'm not stating that as a fact, but something you might look up on your own. But I'd heard it said that the NFL was ready to go on with the game, but the players said we're not playing. So not sure, but anyhow, that a lot of stuff with that game, causes you to question a lot of stuff. But those players definitely, I don't think either team wanted to continue on. But
even if they want to finish the game, they may not want to even finish the game.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we're going to go ahead and do our picks for this week. To tell you what we think is going to happen this week in the playoff pictures, and who we think is going to win and why. So, going to do the show as normal from this point. We're going to start off with the Kansas City Chiefs and the Las Vegas Raiders. And since it's just me and Mater today, I'm going to go ahead and give you all the percentages to every game, because me and Mater, that's important to us. That means something to us. So
I don't know about you, but I like to know where the money is going before I place my money there.
Exactly.
There's too much money there. I don't want to be with the masses. Put me down here with Vegas. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And speaking of Vegas, we got the Kansas City Chiefs and the Las Vegas Raiders. The spread is 9.5 because obviously Kansas City needs the game.
Yeah.
You know, they really need that game.
Probably will win it.
The Raiders, the Raiders themselves don't need the game because it doesn't mean nothing to them. They're not going to be in the playoffs this year. So that being said, Vegas says 9.5 point spread to Kansas City. Kansas City's playing at Las Vegas, but 95% of the money, or the picks, I should say, 95% of the people are picking Kansas City to beat Las Vegas. But only 44% of the people are taking Kansas City to cover the 9.5 point spread. So what you got there?
And with that being said, I'm gonna give up the 9 because you know they have you thinking, oh, they ain't got nothing to play for, so they're gonna play hard to end the season. Now they get smacked around again.
Yeah, I think this week something crazy is gonna happen. And I know it's hard to pick that one crazy thing that's going to happen.
But talking about far as game.
Yeah. Somebody's going to get upset, and I'm going to go ahead and go all out and be crazy and say that the Las Vegas Raiders head up beat the Kansas City Chiefs and ruin their bid at a chance at home field advantage. But the Vegas Raiders, you know, they've got to do something to make their season look good at the end of the year. Like, hey, next year, look, watch for us.
That's what I just said, isn't it?
Yeah.
How many points is that, Paul?
9.
It's 9.5 point spread.
No, I mean with our game, like how many points with that flat out head up?
It'd be 345 points if you take the Raiders. Yeah. So
You're going for the gusto.
that's right. I'm going for a big one right off the bat. It's kind of a hard one to pick.
Try to take off on eBay.
Oh yeah. Just disappear from sight, you know. Now our next game, we ain't got eBay here, but I think eBay himself has started having questions and doubts about the Tennessee Titans going to the Super Bowl. In fact, I think that might be why you're not seeing him here today. He was a little depressed last week. He didn't even take his Titans head up.
Right.
Yeah.
He didn't. He's starting to come back down to earth, and I think everybody, or I should say, the majority of people think that the Titans are done. 83% of the bets are going to Jacksonville, and it's Titans playing at Jacksonville.
And some kind of way, Tennessee will win that game.
I am totally with you. I believe, and I've always said, that Vegas tries to paint you a picture.
That's all I'm saying.
And send you in a direction, and then at the end yank the rug out from under you when you take your cash and you're like, I know Jacksonville's going to win this. Everything tells you right now, Jacksonville, the momentum, Jacksonville, the better quarterback, Jacksonville. You know, I believe that everybody's picking Jacksonville, and for that reason, I'm taking the Titans. Not because I'm a Titans fan, but because all the bets are going to Jacksonville winning that game. Vegas is even giving you a 6.5 point spread. 6.5 points, Jacksonville is a favorite over the Titans.
Hey, Paul, what about this? Here's a conspiracy. You think the NFL wants Tennessee to get that stadium?
That's another good question.
That's good revenue.
I mean, would that be good for the NFL?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, and once again, if the Titans lose this game, it would be a big dent in getting that stadium, you know?
Definitely the
If
talks
they don't make the playoffs, they lose this game, they don't make the playoffs.
and the talks would die down.
Yeah.
So they make the playoffs.
And we live in Nashville, folks.
Yeah.
So we know what the spirit of Nashville is going to be. And our mechanics already said, he was like, man, they trying to pay off a stadium, buy a brand new stadium, and they can't even win a game.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And
Right.
it's
So you gotta win to even be to have a discussion.
yeah, and even Titans fans will probably feel the same way of, hey,
It might be too much
you
money.
know, maybe we need to start making the freaking playoffs before my tax money's paying for this.
We can invest in our roads or a lot of other things around here, our bridges, our schools.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Instead of a team that can't make the playoffs, you know.
That's all we saying.
Yeah. Everything to me is pointing Titans. Everything to me.
I see it. I'm with you.
Conspiracy theories football.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
And That's why we call it conspiracy theory football, because everybody else out there is telling you Jacksonville's going to win this game, and everything in your heart, you know, if you're not a Titans fan, everything deep down is telling you Jacksonville. And I have learned when it comes to betting on any kind of game,
not with your heart,
that when you've come to a certain conclusion,
oh yeah, it's a trick up on it.
Yeah. When you know, when you're like, oh my goodness, they're giving Jacksonville 6.5 points. You know, man,
they must gonna win. They must.
Yeah.
They gotta win.
They have to win this game.
Right.
You know, I'm definitely gonna take the money line. You know, it just makes sense.
Right.
But man, can you imagine?
It's not happening.
Yeah, and that's where I'm at too. So we'll go ahead and move ahead because we can all talk Titans all day. So we'll go to the next one. Now we're gonna go to Sunday's game. You got the Buccaneers and you got the Falcons. The Buccaneers have already sewed up that division. The game's not that important to them, and for that reason, they're saying Atlanta is a 4-point favorite in that game. And the money, of course, is going to Tampa Bay, saying Tampa Bay covers the 4-point spread, 72% of the money, and then 57% says that Tampa Bay wins that game straight out. So what are you going to take on that, Mayor?
I'm going to go with the money. I'm going against the money. Give me Atlanta minus the 4. I mean, like, Brady must not be playing.
Yeah. They'll probably be sitting half the team, and I'm right there with you, the way we usually are when it comes to money.
Right.
You know, I think all the bets are going that way, and for that reason, I think Atlanta wins that game and covers that spread, and that's not really all that far-fetched of a take, seeing as the other team doesn't really care about the game. So I think that's kind of an easier pick, so I'm going with that. Our next game has a little bit of importance to it. You got the Patriots playing the Bills. The Bills are a 7-point favorite, and the money on the money line is kind of the same. And Buffalo is getting 78% of the bets on the money line. And it's a hard pick for me, so I may listen to your pick and may.
No, dive right in, Paul. Dive right in.
I'm gonna go ahead and think that, you know, this game. There's so much, the money is basically so even. I just have to say it the way I think it would happen. And for that reason, I think Buffalo wins and covers the 7-point spread.
Wow. I mean, that is a lot because you got to think like, you know, with all the other bets that can go on, 7 can turn into 13. It's just a lot.
And the money's even. It's 51% to New England and 49% to Buffalo covering.
So what about New England? What do they playoff hopes looking like?
It's not good.
So this is a must-win down there for them?
Yeah, they have to win, or let's see. I'm going to go scroll down.
+7 in a must-win game is not a good look.
Actually, it looks like it is a must-win game for the Patriots. The Patriots are actually sitting in that playoff spot. I'm pretty sure if one of the other teams actually wins, they can put them out. But the other two teams don't have cakewalk games either. So this is an important game to the Patriots.
So then they get 7. Give me Buffalo. Head up.
Okay. So yeah, that's a tough pick. And like I say, Buffalo needs it and New England needs it. I have to take Buffalo if the money's close. But the Vikings and the Bears, 80% of the money or the bets are going on Minnesota winning that game outright. It's a 7.5-point spread. Minnesota has a possibility of getting home field advantage, but not really.
But they already in the playoffs, so they really have much to play for.
Yeah.
They'll act like they want to win this game. I think Chicago will finally win a game. I'm off the Chicago bandwagon because they've been losing for me. But I do think some kind of way they'll beat Minnesota. Minnesota, it's something going on with Minnesota too on the conspiracy side of the show. They were so high, then they dropped so low. So now the buzz about Minnesota's died. Some kind of way, I think Minnesota and San Francisco we're playing the NFC Championship game, if that's possible. And that's my prediction. It'll be Minnesota, San Francisco, man. So Minnesota loses this game, but they will be there to play for that Super Bowl or the game to go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. So, yeah, for me, I'm like you. I'm going to take the Bears straight up winning that game. Just because I don't think that even if the Vikings won that game, they'll get home field advantage. I think Philadelphia wins this week. And so, for that reason, I don't think Minnesota's going to win that game. I think Chicago will win. And while, my belief is that these teams a lot of times even know what outcomes are going to be of games. And if I'm right, and Minnesota comes out and doesn't look like they care about winning that game, then you'd have to understand that they knew that the Eagles were going to win. Because they're sitting there at the 12 o'clock game. So they won't really know because Philly's playing at 3:25.
And you think the NFL didn't set it up that way?
Yeah. I think they know. I think they know when they're supposed to lose. And if they lose to Chicago, you'd have to say that has to be true, Because I just don't see Chicago being able to beat Minnesota on a fair playing field.
How many points are they giving?
7.5. So, yeah. Now, the next pick, we got Baltimore and Cincinnati, and it's a 7-point spread. Cincinnati is a 7-point favorite versus Baltimore. Both teams need this game, and I guess the biggest question you'd want to ask yourself is Lamar Jackson playing? And it says he's questionable, but he did not practice Wednesday. So, that being said, I think he probably won't play. Maybe he's just gearing up for the playoffs, so I believe in that 7-point spread, but man, it's so hard because I think I'm right with Vegas on that. I'm thinking right at 7 points, but I'm going to go ahead and take Cincinnati because the money on this one's right at even, so I'm going to go ahead and say Cincinnati covers the 7-point spread.
Give me Baltimore plus the points.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really close to that. All right, now, again, it really doesn't matter that much unless you're looking at, who wants the draft picks. You got Houston playing the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts are a 2.5-point favorite. Both teams are way down there. The Texans are 2-13. The Indianapolis are 4-11, both of them with a tie game. So what are you going to take on that?
Texas will win this game. They'll get off the schneid. They'll win them a game. And because Jeff Saturday's job is secure right now. They say hired off the, out of the norm. So I think he's secure. He can lose the rest of the season. And I think he got another shot next year to try to do something with the coaches. So give me Houston.
Yeah, I'm with you. The same thing. I think Saturday's safe, and for that reason, I still think that the Texans are going to lose that game.
Oh, yeah, because they want to try.
Yeah, because they're sitting there with,
they want their quarterback.
Yeah, exactly. So it really does them less good if they win that game than it does if they lose it. So we'll take a pause for neighborhood people over here cranking up the truck that doesn't have a freaking catalytic converter.
That's what happened. They got him, bro.
Oh, yeah. Next pick's going to be the Jets and the Dolphins, two teams that were started out of the gate like bats out of hell and just disappeared and started looking bad. Now,
fizzled out. Man.
I'm going to take a little credit because I told y'all that once the Jets started that stupid drama crap that the NFL throws in there, sometimes to give you a reason as to why a team starts losing. I told you then, when all the controversy started with poor little Zach Wilson, that the NFL has decided the Jets would not be in the playoffs, and sure enough, there they went. And the Dolphins, traditionally a team that does really well at the start and fizzles out at the end, the opposite of what the Lions usually do. Same thing this year. Hey, they look great, started on a big thing, and you know, this week, Tua's probably not playing. Also, Bridgewater isn't playing, so be interesting to see who the quarterback is.
And even with all that, you know, you got weapons. All we need is a guy with that arm, which they probably have on their practice squad, that can probably get that ball there just as good as Tua and just as good as Bridgewater. And that guy, whoever he may be, comes in this game and they win that game.
That's a bold pick. I like it. I really like it.
They are in Miami.
And I believe that very well could be true, because it's a 1-point spread. So even Vegas is telling you either team could win this, and just for the sake of being different, because I can pick pretty much the same things he does all day long, I'm gonna go with the Jets and say that the Jets come into that game and win. The money's kind of exactly the same. The spread is almost exactly the same, so you know, I think Vegas is telling you they're going to let those teams play it out and see who wins, and I'm going to go ahead and go with the Jets. So our next pick is going to be Carolina and the Saints, two other teams that are kind of out of the picture, not something to worry about.
No.
The biggest question is seeing, you know, who wants to give hope to the fans at the end of the year, and the money's kind of flip-flopped. It's 3.5-point spread. On the money line, people are taking the Saints, 70%. And on the spread, 75% is taking Carolina. For that reason, usually more people bet on the spread than the money line. And for that reason, I'm going to take New Orleans. And I'm going to take them to win by and cover the spread.
Short and simple, man. Second that motion. Let's go.
All right. Browns and Steelers. Now, interesting thing, the Steelers are still in the hunt.
Are they?
You know, crazy thing. And they're a 2.5-point favorite versus Cleveland. You know, two bitter rivals, division rivals that have been division rivals for a very long time. I'm still going to take the Steelers. I say they cover the spread.
Hey, man. I think Cleveland been down so many years, and Pittsburgh been riding high so many years, Super Bowls and this and this and this. So this is just one of those years Pittsburgh is laying down. They're making it look good. You can't really tell. Look like Tomlin got them fighting, but Cleveland will come in there. They'll win. They'll quietly just make the playoffs. And then they might win a game or two in the playoffs. We'll see how that goes. But Cleveland will come in there and beat Pittsburgh. Let's go, Paul.
All right. Now we got the next one. You got the Chargers. And the Chargers are already clinched a wild card spot. They're playing Denver. And, you know, all year long we've been talking about how Denver just seems to be out for draft picks. And so in this game, it's almost like I wonder if they're not going to try to help the other team. You know, the Chargers, it's going to be a competition of who's going to lose. But, you know, I'm going to take the Chargers because while it doesn't mean anything to the Chargers, it could mean something to Denver in the draft pick section. And Denver's just packed it in all season long.
I like that pick, bro. I like that theory and the pick.
Yeah. All right.
I'm going to second that motion.
So we move on to a big game here. You got the Giants and you got the Eagles. And the Eagles have to win this game. It's actually a game they need to win to lock up home field advantage.
Hold on. So quick interruption here. What if Minnesota and Philly lose?
If Dallas wins, they would get it.
That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Philly and Minnesota lose this week.
Ooh, that's big. That really is funny. I mean, that would really suck for the Eagles, and I tell you why. Because the Giants don't necessarily have to win this game. They're already locked in for a playoff spot. And I think that's why Philadelphia has that minus 14.
14, yeah.
You know, but, you know, the money is all going to the Giants. Just to let you know, believe it or not, 81% says the Giants cover the spread.
So 81% of America is thinking like me.
Yeah, 59% says they win the money line, and for that reason, because I was on the thing, if the money went toward the Eagles, I was going to take the Giants,
Right.
even though it meant
Right.
something to the Eagles and not to the Giants. But because money is going to the Giants, I got to take the Eagles. I got to take the Eagles and say they beat them and clear the spread of 14
I'm
points.
Giants head up. Plus,
Yeah.
what, 600, 800?
Yeah. That if you win that game, you would get 600 points.
Too good, man.
Yeah.
I'm too
So
good.
when we say 600 points, that basically means if my friend Mater here put a $100 bet down on the Giants to win that game, he would get $700 back. 600 plus the 100 that he put in there.
Yes, sir.
And that's how we do our point spread.
Yes,
if you've
sir.
ever wondered our little point thing that we set up, but yeah.
And betting is legal now in some states. It's definitely legal in Tennessee. So we having at it, y'all. We having at it.
Yeah. So our next pick is Arizona and San Francisco, and obviously the game doesn't mean anything to Arizona. San Francisco, I actually didn't even pay attention to San Francisco, and I'm really sorry to the people watching. I'm not really for sure how it would work out for San Francisco to get home field, but I guess there is an opportunity for them also to get home field because they're also 12-4. The same as Dallas and the same as Minnesota. So, interestingly enough, this game could give home field to San Francisco.
If all
even.
three of them lose. Man.
Exactly. And so, Arizona, 14-point underdog because of this.
They'll cover. They'll cover. They'll lose. San Francisco will beat them, but they'll cover that 15.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. I like that. You know what? I'm going to just go ahead and say San Francisco wins this game and covers the 14-point spread. They've just been so freaking tough. Nobody can score on them.
I told you.
And
they going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. And like you say, this game probably isn't important to them because, I think everybody's almost accepted in these other games that maybe Philly gets that home field advantage spot. But we'll learn. I may be wrong on this. And if I'm wrong, then San Francisco and Minnesota is probably going to come out firing, to win their games. But I don't believe that's true. And for that reason, I'm going to take San Francisco in the 14. But I went against Minnesota. I just take San Francisco in the 14 just because, Jesus Christ, man, they're blowing out good teams,
Jeez.
All right. And nobody ever sits their defense. You notice that?
No.
Everybody,
they'll sit their offense.
Yeah.
The defense can run rampant.
Exactly. So now we got the Rams and the Seahawks. We'll just make this short and sweet.
Yeah.
I mean, the money's kind of going two different directions, but, I think Baker Mayfield still wants to prove something. And so, I'm going to go ahead and take the Rams to win this game and Baker Mayfield have a really good game.
I'm going to take Seattle to win head up.
Okay.
Not with the spread. So I should take the Rams with 6. Now just let me take the Rams plus 6.
Okay, yeah, that's a good pick. More points,
Yeah,
lots of more points.
I learned that from you. I like that.
Yeah. Then you got Dallas and Washington, and wow, this one, believe it or not, a lot of people, obviously this game could mean something, but Dallas needs this game, but 52% of people are betting that Washington covers the 7-point spread, but that 91%
Taking Dallas head.
is taking Dallas head up. I guess I'm going to take Washington.
Yeah,
in
you
this
be Washington
game.
head up too, man.
Oh yeah, that's going to be a lot of points in that. 250 points if Washington wins that game. I'm just going to go ahead and do it. It's a Sunday night game. Washington needs to show up, man.
I want them.
Detroit and Green Bay.
Detroit.
They saved the best for last, man.
Yeah.
This is a good game.
Yes, it is.
This is a big game, and this is a hard game to pick because Detroit's turned it on at the end of the year. Green Bay's turned it on to the end of the year. The winner of this game goes to the playoffs.
What's our percentages on this one, bro?
It's on the spread. It's -4.5 to Green Bay. 51% is taking Green Bay covering the spread, but 74% of people is taking the money line on Green Bay.
Give me Detroit.
I'm with you. My stepdad become a Detroit Lions fan, and you have to know my stepdad picks his teams all during the year. You know, when his team loses and gets knocked out, I think at the start of the year he was like Raiders.
Bandwagon.
Yeah. But he doesn't pick the bandwagon team, like he doesn't go like, oh, San Francisco's going to win.
Yeah.
But he picks an underdog team that might make the playoffs after his team that he starts off with.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. After the team he starts off with finally gets eliminated.
Yeah, but at least he ain't jumping on the bandwagon. At least he's still picking the underdog.
But let me tell you, he picked the Buffalo Bills at the start of the year. So I'm going to give him credit for getting off Buffalo and going to Detroit, because Buffalo was a bandwagon pick, and I wasn't proud of mine. Wasn't proud of him for taking Buffalo. I didn't like that at all. Just to let you know, if you watch this, Chuck, that wasn't cool, man. That's not cool. You never been like that, but I appreciate the Detroit pick, and I'm even going to pick your Detroit Lions to win that game, because I think everybody's picking Green Bay to win this game. I think a lot of money is going to go on Green Bay winning this game.
Detroit.
And everybody, because Aaron Rodgers has come out basically saying, I'm going to go through and run this table and get to the playoffs, and told everybody this. That's why I think Detroit wins this game.
In the NFL 3 steps ahead of us, man. We playing checker, they playing check.
Yeah.
They already set this up weeks ago, like months ago maybe. Like, Detroit will make the playoffs finally. Green Bay will sit this one out. Goff will make the playoffs finally with Detroit. They may win a game.
And I got a business plan coming up, you know, trying to appeal to my gamer friends. You know, I was a big gamer when I was a teenager, and I remember what it's like sitting there playing a game and realizing you can't pause, and you know, you got a big mission going on. You know, you gotta use the bathroom. All you gamers know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about, and you all have cups just like I did, you know, just cups all next to myself, pee in them and stuff, because I didn't have time to walk away and go use the bathroom. Well, I'm working on a new cup, and in that cup, it's going to be long, it's going to be wide, and you can pull it out, and on there it's going to be a little spool of toilet paper so you can crap in a cup while you're gaming, and, you know, you can have one hand still on the controller while you're working your magic, you know, and then you can just take that lid, you know, one good swipe, put it back in, close it up, you're good to go. Seconds, it's all you lost. So you can go back to no-scoping, teabagging, and just backwoods killing people all down the map without even taking a moment to use the bathroom. You gamers know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about, and you're going to buy my product. I'm working on it. I'll have it out. Be ready. It's coming in the spring of this year. This is Paul Bunyan. See you later.